I remember holding my father's old jacket, the fabric worn but familiar. I hadn't worn it in years, but every time I thought about letting it go, my chest tightened. It felt like losing a part of him. Maybe you've felt this too, staring at a box of old letters, a collection of gifts or clothes that hold memories, knowing you need to declutter but feeling stuck. The fear of regret is real. But what if I told you there's a way to let go without losing the memories, a way to free yourself from clutter while still holding on to what truly matters? Before we dive in, if you want practical, proven advice on aging well, feeling lighter and living with more joy, hit subscribe. Let's simplify life together. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things, it's about emotions. That old rocking chair in the corner, it's not just furniture. It's where you rocked your baby to sleep, where you sat and shared stories with loved ones. Maybe it's your late spouse's favourite book, still resting on the nightstand, or the holiday decorations your family once gathered around. These things aren't just objects, they hold memories, and letting them go feels like losing a part of yourself. And that's why it's so hard. Because no one tells you that decluttering can bring a wave of emotions, nostalgia, grief, even guilt. You might ask yourself, what if I need this someday? What if I give it away and regret it? Am I dishonoring their memory by letting this go? But here's the truth. Memories don't live in things. They live in you, in your heart, your mind, and the way you carry your loved ones forward in your life. The items themselves, they're reminders, yes, but they aren't the essence of what you cherish. And here's something else to consider. When everything is kept, nothing feels special anymore. That box of old letters? If you have hundreds, you'll never truly revisit them. But if you keep just a handful of the most meaningful ones, they'll hold even more value. This shift in perspective changed everything for me. Instead of focusing on what I was losing, I started asking, what am I making space for? Because when we clear the clutter, we create room for peace, for new experiences, for a home that feels lighter, not weighed down by the past. Step 1. The favourite few rule. When I first started decluttering, I struggled with sentimental items the most. I had boxes filled with letters, old birthday cards and souvenirs from trips I barely remembered. Every time I tried to let go, I'd think, but what if I miss these one day? Then a wise friend gave me advice that changed everything. If everything is special, nothing is. That's when I discovered the favourite few rule, keeping only the 3 to 5 most meaningful items from any category. And suddenly, instead of drowning in clutter, I was surrounded by the things that truly mattered. Think about it. If you have 50 letters from a loved one, are they all equally important? Probably not. There are likely just a few that bring back the strongest emotions. Those are the ones that deserve a place in your life. Instead of stuffing an entire drawer with old cards, imagine keeping just the most heartfelt ones in a small box you actually look through from time to time. Instead of holding on to every piece of clothing your late spouse wore, imagine selecting just one, the sweater they wore on your favourite date. Suddenly those items become treasures, not just clutter. How to apply the favourite few rule 1. Choose a category: letters, clothes, souvenirs, holiday decorations, etc. 2. Pick out the top 3 to 5 items, the ones that truly make you feel something when you see or hold them. 3. Let go of the rest with gratitude. Remind yourself that you're keeping the best, not losing everything. If you feel stuck, here's a trick. Place all the items in a box and store them out of sight. After a month, take out only the ones you genuinely missed or thought about. You'll be surprised how little you actually need to keep to hold on to the memories. The beauty of the favourite few rule is that it helps you focus on quality over quantity. Your most cherished memories deserve space in your life, without the overwhelming burden of excess clutter. Step 2. Take photos of sentimental items. I used to have an entire closet filled with boxes, old letters, my children's school projects, souvenirs from trips I barely remembered. Every time I tried to declutter, I felt stuck. How could I throw away my grandson's first drawing, or my mother's delicate china set even though I never used it? Then I discovered something so simple yet so powerful. I didn't have to lose the memories, I just had to change how I preserved them. That's when I started taking photos. A picture keeps the memory alive without taking up space. When you photograph sentimental items, you capture their essence, their story, their meaning without the physical clutter. And in many cases, looking at a photo brings back the same emotions as holding the item itself. Think about it. Do you really need to keep an entire closet full of old clothes from a loved one? Or would a single, well-taken photo of their favorite outfit be enough to hold onto the memory? How to use this method effectively. 1. Gather sentimental items you're hesitant to part with. Childhood keepsakes, old gifts or heirlooms you no longer use. 2. Take high-quality photos. Capture details that matter most to you. A close-up of a handwritten letter, the patterns on an old quilt, or a favorite piece of jewelry. 3. Create a digital memory album. Store the photos on your phone, computer, or print them in a small photo book. This way, you can revisit them anytime without taking up space. A friend of mine struggled with letting go of her late husband's old tools. She had an entire shed full of them, untouched for years. One day, I suggested she take pictures of his favorites, the ones he used the most, the ones that reminded her of his craftsmanship. She did, and then she was able to donate the tools to someone who would actually use them. She kept the memories, freed up space, and helped someone in need. It was a win-win. Sometimes what we truly fear isn't losing the object, it's forgetting the story behind it. After you take a photo, take a moment to write down or record a short note about why it's meaningful. That way, the memory is preserved in even more detail. Decluttering sentimental items doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means finding new ways to honor it without being weighed down by excess. Photos allow you to keep the memories alive while making room for the life you're living today. I used to think that letting go of a loved one's belongings meant losing a piece of them, but then I realized something powerful. When we pass sentimental items onto others, we don't just free up space, we give those memories a new life. Instead of keeping my mother's old dresses tucked away in storage, I had them turned into a beautiful quilt. Now, every time I see it, I'm reminded of her warmth. Instead of leaving my father's books to collect dust, I gifted them to a young student who cherished them just as much as he did. And instead of holding on to stacks of old letters, I framed just one, a special note that captured everything I loved about the person who wrote it. Letting go doesn't have to mean throwing away. It can mean transforming, repurposing, or passing on the love to someone who truly needs it. Think of it this way. If an item is sitting unused in a box, it's not serving its purpose. But if it's being worn, read, or used by someone else, it continues to bring joy. And that's how we truly honor the people and memories attached to them. Ways to give meaningful items a new life. 1. Donate to someone who will cherish them. A loved one's winter coat can keep someone warm. Your spouse's favorite books can inspire another generation. Your old holiday decorations can bring joy to a family in need. 2. Repurpose the material. Turn clothing into a quilt or pillow, a cozy way to keep the memories close. Frame a special letter or signature, a daily reminder of their love. Make jewelry from sentimental trinkets. Carry a piece of them with you in a new way. 3. Pass it down as a family heirloom. Instead of keeping a jewelry box full of unworn pieces, pass down a meaningful item to a grandchild or family member who will treasure it. Write a note about the history of the item. This makes it even more special. A dear friend of mine lost her husband and was left with his collection of baseball caps. They meant everything to him, and she struggled to let them go. One day, she decided to keep just one, his favorite, and gave the rest to a local Little League team. Seeing those kids wearing his hats, carrying his passion forward, gave her more joy than she ever expected. She realized that his memory wasn't in the hats, it was in the love he had for the game and the impact he had on others. Decluttering isn't about erasing the past, it's about making space for the present while ensuring that the things we let go of continue to bring happiness. Whether you transform, donate or pass down a treasured item, you're not losing the memory. You're giving it a new life. I used to have an entire closet filled with sentimental items, old letters, trinkets from past vacations, my children's handmade gifts. Every time I tried to declutter, I felt stuck. I didn't want to let go, but I also didn't want to live surrounded by clutter. Then I discovered the simple but powerful idea of a memory box, and it changed everything. A memory box isn't about keeping everything, it's about keeping the best, the items that truly bring back warmth, joy and meaning. Instead of being overwhelmed by endless piles, you create a carefully chosen collection of treasures that fit in a single small box. And the best part? You actually enjoy them more, because they're no longer lost in clutter. Memories don't need an entire attic, they just need a special place. A memory box allows you to keep what truly matters without letting the past take over your present. When everything is kept, nothing feels special. But when you choose just a few meaningful items, they become treasures. How to create your own memory box. 1. Choose a small box, a decorative keepsake box, a wooden chest, or even a simple shoebox. The key is to limit the space so you're selective. 2. Pick out the most meaningful items. These could be a few handwritten letters from loved ones, a small piece of jewelry with sentimental value, a childhood keepsake, a photo that instantly brings back a special moment, a ticket stub from a life-changing event. 3. Let go of the rest with gratitude. If something doesn't fit, ask yourself, does this item bring me deep joy, or am I holding on to it out of obligation? If it's the latter, take a photo and let it go. A friend of mine had an entire basement filled with her late husband's belongings. It was overwhelming, but she couldn't bear to part with them. When I suggested a memory box, she hesitated. How could she fit a lifetime of memories into one small box? But once she started, she realized something beautiful. She didn't need everything. She kept his wedding ring, a heartfelt letter he once wrote her, a favorite photo, and a small pocket watch he always carried. Everything else was donated or given to family members who would cherish them. And you know what? She felt lighter. Instead of carrying the weight of the past, she carried the essence of it, carefully preserved in her memory box. Your memory box isn't meant to be hidden away. Keep it somewhere accessible and every now and then open it up. Let those cherished items remind you of the love, lessons and moments that shaped your life. Decluttering doesn't mean erasing your past. It means making space for the memories that matter most. A memory box is your way of keeping the best, letting go of the rest, and living with more peace and joy today. I remember sitting in my garage, staring at boxes filled with my mother's belongings, clothes I'd never wear, books I'd never read, dishes I'd never use. I felt guilty at the thought of letting them go. It was as if getting rid of her things meant letting go of her. But then, I paused and asked myself one simple question. Would she want this to burden me? And in that moment, I knew the answer. My mother wouldn't want me to feel weighed down by objects. She would want me to cherish her love, her wisdom, her spirit, not keep every single thing she left behind. When we hold on to things out of guilt, we're not honoring our loved ones, we're trapping ourselves in the past. But true remembrance isn't about keeping objects. It's about carrying forward their love, values, and lessons in the way we live. Your loved ones wouldn't want their things to collect dust in storage. They wouldn't want their possessions to bring you stress or anxiety. What they would want is for you to feel peace, joy, and freedom. How to apply this mindset shift? 1. Hold an item and ask, would they want me to feel guilty for letting this go? Does this item bring me joy or just obligation? Am I keeping this because I truly want it or because I feel I should? 2. If it's weighing you down, let it go with love. Say a small thank you before parting with it. Acknowledge the role it played in your life, then release it. Donate it to someone who will use and appreciate it. Keep only the most meaningful reminders, like a handwritten note or favorite photo. A close friend of mine struggled to part with her late husband's belongings. She kept his clothes, tools, even his old coffee mug, though she never used it. One day she asked herself, would he want me to feel this burden? She knew he wouldn't, so she kept a few treasured items and donated the rest. And for the first time in years she felt light, knowing she had honored him in a way that didn't hold her back. Instead of holding on to everything, find one special way to celebrate their memory. Plant a tree in their name, donate to a cause they cared about, share their stories with loved ones. These acts keep their spirit alive without keeping unnecessary clutter. Decluttering sentimental items isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing what truly honors their memory. And the greatest way to do that isn't by holding on to things, it's by living a life that reflects the love they gave you. When I finally let go of my father's old jacket, I felt a lump in my throat. For years, I thought parting with it meant losing a piece of him. But as I gently folded it and gave it a new home, I realized something profound. I didn't lose him. His love, his lessons, his presence, none of that was in the fabric of an old coat. It was in me, in the way I live, in the stories I share, in the kindness I pass forward. And in that moment, I felt lighter. Not because I had less, but because I had more space for what truly mattered. More room to breathe, to enjoy the present, to create new memories without the weight of the past holding me down. And you can too. Now I want to hear from you. What's one sentimental item you're ready to let go of? Share in the comments. I promise you're not alone in this journey. Let's support each other in creating lives filled with more space, more peace, and more joy. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Together we'll rewrite the story of aging, not weighed down by the past, but stepping forward with freedom, clarity, and gratitude.